Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the show. I had to start a little bit early tonight. Basically, we've been getting dumped on here in Colorado for the last month and a half. And we just got a hailstorm and everything. And I've got some things I need to do before it gets dark tonight. So I had to bump this up a little bit early this week, about 45 minutes. But tonight we are going to be talking about we had a conversation in the survivalist prepper community about the rollout of the CBDB. And tonight I wanted to go over some of the things, including that, but all of the things that are kind of, just right along, coming along, that are all going to be packaged in together. Whether you're talking about digital currency, whether you're talking about digital identity, whether you're talking about tracking and the government collecting all our data, all these things that, to me, like I titled the thumbnail, leads up to this, this dystopian nightmare type situation where to a lot of people, it seems like, they probably say, oh, this is good in each individual thing. Oh, it's not so bad. You're just being some crazy Luddite or, some conspiracy theorist. It's not that bad, because they look at the positive side of the coin and don't bother to look at, what they could do with that. So I want to talk about all that tonight. In the chat, Dorian, what's going on? Brandon, what's going on? Liberated Lady, good to see you. Glad you could finally catch a show. I know you've been pretty busy, so good to see you. Tony, what's going on? But before we get into the show, I wanted to show you what I was talking about. I took this video right before the show, and this is my backyard in this little hailstorm we got, and it was nothing, it wasn't like golf ball size hail or anything, but it sounded like it inside my house. But let me play this real quick, and I'll explain some things. Okay, okay, I don't have that set up. I was gonna put it on a slide and kind of show you everything, but and it wasn't that loud, so it didn't look that bad. But it's pretty damn bad out here. I've got to go check on the chickens, make sure the horse pens are okay. I'm probably gonna climb on the roof and check all that stuff out. Now, there's an article I'm going to talk about later that talks about, from Zero Hedge, I believe, that talks about 10 things that we should be paying attention to, but people are just remaining silent about. And they talk about the storms and, baseball size hail and things like that. And should we be concerned about that? And I'll go into more detail about that. But I'll tell you what, my whole time living in Colorado, I have never once had a spring with this much rain. I mean, every year in Colorado, in the afternoons, the clouds come over the mountains, and it might rain, it might not, it might get severe, it might not. These past couple of months, it's like every day, and it's not just a little bit of rain here and there. It's a whole lot of rain, and it's almost every single day. So it's been crazy. Liberated Lady in the chat said, "Oh, wrong one." Chat jumped on me. Liberated Lady said, "Yeah, I made it, Dale. Finally back in the Central Time Zone." Very cool. Very cool. But one more thing before I get into all the other stuff tonight, and I want to talk about the conversation that we had in the group. I've been working on the new bug out location, which is basically, I'm redesigning it from the ground up, and I've talked about this a couple times. But I made a video, instead of just me talking about what it is and in this and that. I made a video for new members. It's a kind of a getting around video. But what my plan is for the bug out location is, the last bug out location, Preparedness Academy, was basically, prepping 101 stuff. Like, if you're just getting into preparedness, it's a great place to go. And I want to make this one something for everyone. Like that group I was talking about, which in the very beginning of this video, I'm going to play, it shows that group. A lot of those members are members that have been doing this for a while. The conversation we had with Brandon and Kanzi and everybody, those are members that have been doing this for a while. And that 101 stuff isn't, yeah, it's a good refresher, but it's not really necessary. So I want to make this get a lot more resources at the Academy, whether that's, or the Bug Out Location Academy, whether that's audio, video, PDF downloads. I've got over 100 downloads that I can put on there, which I'm going to put on there. And this group also makes it great for those preppers that are, past the point of, what is a Mylar bag and crap like that, right? It's those preppers that are trying to figure out how to put a battery bank together, how to do those a little bit more advanced things in preparedness. So that's what I want to do with this new academy. So it's something for everyone, regardless where you are in your preparedness journey. And then the group, you can join the group. It's $2 a month because I want to sort of keep the trolls out, keep the riffraff out, the people that just kind of want to lurk and all that stuff. But it's $2 a month to help support the show, or you become a Bug Out Location member and you get access to that free. So at any rate, let me play this video. It's about 5 minutes long here, and then we'll get into the conversation we had over in the prepping community about the digital currency. Hey there, and welcome to the Bug Out Location membership website. If this is your first time here, I put this video together sort of as a roadmap to get around the Bug Out Location. It's fairly simple, but I just want to go through a few of the things you could do just to get started. First off, when you log in, you'll be redirected to the membership hub. This page has everything we have to offer here at the Bug Out Location. So if you ever get lost or you're trying to figure out where something is, this is the page to go to. When you first get here, make sure and join the prepping community. It's a great group we put together for members of the Bug Out Location who get free access to the group. There's quite a few members in there that have been prepping for a while, so it's a great place, sort of a supplement to the Bug Out Location courses, a great place to get all the preparedness information you might want. We've got a bunch of different topics in this community. We've got alternative energy, water storage, first aid. So if you have a question about any preparedness topic, you're bound to find it here in this group. Plus, it's just a fun group. It's not Facebook, it's not social media, so it's a great group. So let's head back over to the Bug Out Location here. So the very first thing I recommend everyone do when they first log in is go to your profile page. And on your profile page, this is where you can change a lot of your information. You can't change your username, but you can change your password. You can change your nickname. You can put in a website here if you have one. You can enter your bio if you like. Down here, like I said, it's got a link to the group, a couple quick access links. And if you're not getting updates, every time we do an update here, we send out an email. And if you're not getting those, you can jump back on the list. And then if it still doesn't work, you can get a hold of me. So once you do that, then you can start looking. We've got the links up here to all the different things we have. We'll start with the prepping resource directory. And this is where we have all sorts of resources that would be good for you regardless of where you are in your preparedness journey. We have audio resources, which are podcasts, whether that's my podcast or other podcasts. We have PDF downloads, survival guides, anything that we can find that you can add to your preparedness library, we will put it here. And then we also have our members recommended section, where this is where members that have been doing this for a while may put links to their favorite websites. They may have great articles, great videos, tools and gear that they've used, great suggestions for other members of the Bug Out Location. So we're going to add those there. On the PDFs download page, if you just go here, you'll see that we've got a bunch of different guides and everything, and these are constantly being updated as well. So this is one of those where you might want to check back every once in a while and see what's new. And then also we have our preparedness courses directory right here, which is where you can find all the different courses that we have here at the Bug Out Location. You can start the Prepping 101 course here. You can scroll down and see the different modules like mindset and planning. We'll go to this one real quick. And you can see that in here, it's got all the modules in this lesson. You can start each lesson as you want. We'll go back to the Prepping 101 course. This is the main page of the course. And in this course, it's got all the different modules. So you can start from module 1 and just go through every single module and lesson there is, or you can jump to a specific one that you're really interested in. But a lot of information. And again, like everything else here at the Bug Out Location, this is constantly growing. We're going to start from the ground up with preparedness courses and work our way to the more advanced courses. Also, we have the legacy foods, which members of the Bug Out location get wholesale prices on legacy foods that we sell at the SHTF shop. Now, at the SHTF shop, we have to post the retail prices. So those aren't the prices you would get as a member of the Bug Out location. On this page, I've posted a few of the most popular products that we have there, and it shows you what the retail price is compared to the price that you can expect by being a member of the Bug Out location. Again, this is just a few different products. We have many more over at the SHTF shop, and you can also check out Legacy's website. And if they have something there, the odds are that we can get it at the SHTF shop, and we can get it for you as well. So if you have any questions about that, something that's not listed here or a product that's listed at Legacy, you can click this button and get a quote. Just send us an email. Let us know which product you're interested in, and then we will get back to you with a price on that product. So one last thing is our blog here, and then I'll let you get back to doing what you want here at the Bug Out location. But this is where we're going to post all of our articles for members of the Bug Out location only. These won't be posted publicly. These will be different articles, whether it's a supplement to a course or just something that's on my mind, current events, situational awareness type things, possibly even articles written by members of the Bug Out location themselves and other contributors also. So this is a great place to come if you want to just sort of check things out. There will be links in some of the courses that lead to articles over here on the blog, but another great resource as you're going through your preparedness journey. So all in all, there's quite a bit to offer here. And like I said, there's even more to come in the future. We're going to constantly be updating the Bug Out location, updating the courses, updating the resources, updating the blog. A lot of things that are going on here. If there's anything that you want that we haven't added to this course and you just want to make sure we do, again, hit that contact page and just send us an email and let us know what you would like or what we can do better. So with that, I appreciate everyone. I'll let you get to doing what you want to do here at the Bug Out location. And again, if you have any questions, just hit me up, send me an email, and I'll get those answered for you ASAP. Take care and prepare. We'll talk to you all later. All right, so that was a little bit more explanation than you guys probably wanted, but I had it made, and I figured I was pre-recorded, so it'd probably do a better job than I would just trying to explain it to you. But it's a really cool group, a really cool location, Bug Out location. The whole website is going to be really, really cool. And what this group that I was talking about earlier is just a really cool group. It's got a lot of the different, different preparedness categories in here. Everyone in there is just super cool, super fun group. And it's something for everyone. So the link to that is down in the description below. If you want to go over there and sign up, check it out. 7-day free trial, see what it's like, see if you like it or not. Very cool. One thing before as we get into all of this stuff that's coming up in the future, this is kind of the same situation. This is something that's coming up in the future too, but just saw this, I think it was this morning, and it was, I saw this on the news this morning, and then I saw it on Ground News this afternoon, but U.S. approves chicken made from cultivated cells, the nation's first lab-grown meat. And while I'm on this, Ground News, for those of you that don't know, I've talked about this a couple times, but Ground News is a great website because it gives you the topic, and then it shows you who's written about those topics and whether it's a lot of left-wing leaning sites, right-wing, or in the center. So it gives you an idea about who's reporting on what, who's over-reporting on what. Very cool. But at any rate, I thought this was interesting because I sort of caught some heat last time I was talking about this because I had said I would eat it. And what I was talking about when I said that was, given the choice between like the incredible burgers or crap like that, or because that's in a lab too. Who knows what's in that crap that they make? Given a choice between the two, which coming up in the future, who knows how much of a choice we actually will have. But given the choice between the two, I'm not so sure that if I had to pick one or the other, I'm probably going with the lab grown crap. Although Yeah, Charlie Angel said, "Yeah, damn it, I don't trust the lab grown crap." Yeah, and that's to me too, because it could be. I've got an article. Lisa brought something up about what cells it's grown from, but it could be that it could be very well just just fine, but you have no idea what these people are putting in our food these days. And honestly, lab grown meat isn't all that different when you consider the prepackaged meals and all the crap that we eat these days anyway, that has all the chemicals and additives and all this crap that goes in it. How is it really, other than the weirdness of it being grown in a lab? I don't know that it's all that much different. Now, that being said, this article right here talks about, let me put this on full screen. Lisa brought this to my attention and I looked it up, but lab grown meat are made from cancer cells. Would you like rare or medium? Now, this article sort of goes through it like, like it's not as bad as it sounds. And you know what? Maybe it's not. I'm no biologist. I don't know that just because it's made from a cancer cell doesn't mean it's going to give you cancer or anything. But the fact that Bill Gates is behind this and the World Economic Forum are behind this makes me really question what is actually going to be in this crap. So I wanted to touch on the cancer thing down here real quick, if I can find it. So it says right here, says, okay, well, what kind of cells is lab grown meat grown from? Lab grown meat is made from immortalized cancer cells. And I'm not real sure what immortalized means. Does that mean like pre-cancer cells, or I don't know, but it says here this excellent article from Bloomberg clarifies that all lab-grown meat is immortalized tumor cells. That's what Lisa told me, tumor cells. The article explains these same cells are used to produce traditional vaccines. Thanks to the biotech revolution, under the right conditions, animal cells can be grown in a petri dish or even at scale in factories full of stainless steel drums. For decades, companies such as Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson have cultured large volumes of cells to produce vaccines, monoclonal antibodies, and other biotherapeutics. So, to me, it seems like they're already using this crap for stuff anyway. So it's not like it's some sort of, hey, we don't know what this is going to do. We're already getting dosed with all the crap, or a lot of people are anyway. I know there's placentas for high-end cosmetics. There's all sorts of weird crap that gets used for things that we use as humans. So Brandon said in the chat here, if I hang a sign on the coop that says the lab, does that mean that my eggs are lab grown? Yeah, that's actually a pretty damn good idea, Brandon. I might actually put that on my chicken coop outside. Lisa said in the chat, no, yeah, she's got a very different, not that I disagree with her. I'm not saying that I would eat it and I think it's okay to do. I don't want to make that seem like that's what I'm saying, but we're already getting, everything that we consume, everything we buy. It's who knows what the hell it is. You go to McDonald's and get a chicken nugget. That's not a chicken nugget. There might be some chicken in that, but it's not a chicken nugget. How much of the meat in a meat patty at McDonald's is actually meat? That is, I think, one of the first place in California that the Ground News article, they were talking about how this is they're rolling this out in California. It actually got approval for a couple restaurant chains or companies or something to use this stuff. I guarantee you, once it becomes cost effective, all the fast food chains will be using this lab grown meat stuff. And after a while, it won't even register to people about what's, where it's from and all that stuff. So if you're eating the boxed meals, if you're eating the processed foods, if you're eating the fast foods, you're getting all the crap anyway. So Brandon said in the chat, chickens don't have nuggets, roosters do. That's true. Yeah, that is true. All right, so I just thought that was pretty interesting because it's something that's one of those things that is coming down the pipe. You've got all these rich yahoos, these elites, and all these power brokers that have this agenda and want this stuff to happen. And I think, like it or not, this is the direction we're going. Now, like I said, I'm taking sort of a pessimistic approach to all of this stuff, the things that they're rolling out. But a lot of people, look at it like, oh, it's going to be convenient. The digital dollar is going to be convenient. The digital identity, the digital ID, all of that stuff is just going to be convenient. So why wouldn't you want that? I don't worry. I don't have to worry about the government, getting my information or anything like that because I'm not doing anything wrong, right? Same thing people have been saying forever until you are doing something wrong. So to me, it's all of this stuff that, yes, there are some positive sides to all of this, but that is what these people sell. They sell the positive. They don't tell you about the negative. They don't even want to talk about the negative. People don't want to hear the negative. People don't want to hear how this can be used and abused, just like everything else in this country. That some great invention, Neuralink, Elon Musk, that's going to be used and abused. So. What did Liberated Lady say here in the chat? I watched the Hawk Show once, and the guy who handled the Raptors would throw them up in the air, dead bay chicks, and they called them chicken nuggets. Yeah. What Brandon said here, sadly, I might be more trusting of lab-grown meat once Europe approves it. We have no safeguards on food in America. Yeah, I get that, but that's my concern too, because Europe seems like ground zero for all of these tests and all of the the digital identity, the digital currency. The World Economic Forum basically is headquartered over there, somewhere over there in Switzerland, I think. But that's what concerns me, is because it's a lot easier for them to push this stuff through over there. But at the same time, yes, they do have a different set of rules to go by, and it doesn't necessarily mean they're worse rules than the United States. It's not like we are the bastion of all things here, even though they'd like us to believe that. But yeah, so I agree and disagree with that, Brandon. Yeah, Demolition Man, the rat burgers, yeah, sound better. Hey, I'll tell you what, yeah, maybe, just maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see how all of this stuff plays out. One last thing, and I'm going to move on to the conversation we had. Charlie said, I want my food natural. And that's the thing. And I think that sort of leads into this conversation we had and what I'm going to be talking about too. You can avoid all of this stuff. You can grow your own food. You can do a lot of your own stuff. When it comes to being in debt and being tied to the system and all of that. I talked about this with Tag and Grumpy Acres for the last couple of shows that I did about being homesteaders and being free from that system, living free. And if we can do that as much as possible anyway, then the impacts of some of this stuff are going to be lessened, I think, in the future. And that was sort of what we talked about in that conversation as well. Let me put up the Alpha Tango. Put this. Let me find the right thing here. Here we go. Alpha Tango posed a question in the group, and he said, "What plans do you have to survive if this society, when the feds roll out the CBDB, they will be able to ration everything and stop you from purchasing boomsticks, pew-pews, and freedom seeds? It'll probably happen sooner than you think." And we started having a conversation about how quickly that would be and all the other things that would need to happen in order for that to go through. And I think that is bad enough in itself. And that is something they're doing in Europe as well. They're talking about that. The UN's talking about it. A lot of people are talking about it now. They're being hush hush here in the United States about it, but that doesn't mean a damn thing when it comes to them actually rolling it out, what they're doing behind the scenes. So but when they do roll that out, it gives them, people talk about how we already have a digital currency, or, it's going to make everything much more convenient, which is both sort of true. The whole problem with the CBDB, though, that I have anyway, is it's sort of like this system we have now on overdrive, and it opens the door, in my opinion, to a lot of other things. When you're talking about social credit scores, you're talking about data tracking. One of the articles that I'm going to read in a little bit, or go over in a little bit, talks about how the feds are stockpiling all sorts of information on just regular citizens. Why is that? So I think it's all just really interesting. Now, Brandon, in that one of his comments on this was just kind of like what I was talking about, right? Is accumulating skills and tools to barter work under the table. It's that alternative economy that might unfold, the parallel economy, like he says. I don't think about what what you can accumulate enough wealth. I don't think that you can accumulate enough wealth to survive in an economy that has locked you out of, or that you're locked out of. Even 100% off the grid, you still have to pay your mortgage. You still have to pay your property taxes. The one saving grace is you more than likely won't be alone. There'll likely be a parallel economy developing. And if they start cutting us off, so I do agree with that. The more they do this, the more that this sort of goes through, where they take, they feel like they're justified in certain actions and cutting you off from your bank account and cutting you off from your money. There are going to be a lot of people that sort of go away from that, and that depends on the scale that this happens. At the same time, it is going to be really tough, and that's that convenience thing that is why I think this is going to be going through, because that convenience thing is exactly why people are going to just put up with it. The same reason they put up with the NSA, the same reason they put up with the little we all put up with the little tracking devices in our pocket. That convenience is going to outweigh the fact that, they may at some point be able to shut me off. Even just having our money in the bank right now is sort of the same type of situation, because there could be some sort of bank holiday. This next comment I got from Kanzi, he's up in Canada, and he talked about with the Canadian truckers, and they can do the same thing. It doesn't necessarily mean because they roll this out that they can do something. They can do more than they could before, I guess is my point. They could do it now. Kanzi said in here, and I'm not going to read his whole comment because all of his posts are super long, but he says, my cousin is a trucker and did get locked out of his business account and even his personal accounts during the Ottawa Freedom standoff. And then towards the bottom of this paragraph, he says, when it finally did arrive a year later, his accounts were available with only a quarter of his income. The government had taken the rest. He's in court right now to resolve this. That's nuts to me that they have so much. That's like a warning sign to me that they have so much control over what you have. We feel like that just because we can log into our bank account or whatever and see those numbers there, that we have complete access to that. But if something happens and you look at the bank failures and all those things that have happened, if something happens, that just disappears. And there is no, I guess there's a little bit of, the government trying to pay you back. But there's really no guarantees with all that. And then the second paragraph here, he said, taking the lesson in hand, I've made greater efforts to connect with homesteaders, local food gardeners, and increase my own dependence from the government services. It's a full-time mission, which I enjoy doing. I've invested in a 5-year storage unit to store more preps as well as other items. They would be good for barter as well. And then this last line right here, I think, is the most important one: forward thinking and pro-action every day. They're essential skills for preppers. And I think that is sort of all boiled down with this digital currency and everything else that I'm going to talk about today. It all boils down to doing what we can for ourselves and being proactive in the steps that we take to sort of separate ourselves as much as we can from those systems, that when and if something does happen that, freaks everything out, whether it's one of us, whether it's a bunch of us, whether it's, somebody else or whatever, we are separated from that machine as much as possible, so we lessen the impact that could have. Now, like I think it was Brandon was saying, it's impossible to be 100% self-sufficient. It's just, you can't do it. Even Tag and Grumpy Acres, who are miles ahead of me when it comes to homesteading and things like that, even they aren't completely 100% self-sufficient. But as Tag talks about, that's like his main goal, is to get to that point. But when you have to pay property taxes, what are you going to do? Because that doesn't go away. At any rate, very interesting conversation. And we got a lot of conversations like that over in the group, just kind of a fun group Kanzi shares all sorts of stuff. Been doing this for a long time. Brandon's been doing this for a long time. A couple of Brandons in the group. Brandon Rhodes here as well. And then Alpha Bravo been doing this for a long time. A lot of people in there have been prepping for a long time and have followed the show for a long time. So we need some new blood in there to get in there and ask some questions and the basic stuff, because it's just a really helpful group. But at any rate, very cool conversation. And all of this sort of, I don't know if it was just coincidence or timing or whatever, but I saw a couple of other articles as well that sort of went through the same subject. And the first one I saw, and I'll go through this a little bit, is from the Economics Collapse blog. 8 signs that the futuristic control freaks agenda of the globalists are rapidly moving forward. And I wanted to go over a few of these because these go sort of hand in hand with what I was just talking about here. So the first one here on this list is starting in September. Let me put this on full screen so you guys can see it. Starting in September, the EU will mandate that all member states offer a digital identity wallet to all of their citizens and businesses. So like I was talking about earlier, Europe, the European Union, the UN, which is got, I think, it seems like to me anyway, has got more sway in Europe. They listen a little bit more than we do here in the United States. But this is where everything starts to roll out. And I think the United States probably watches, figures out what they can do, and try to skirt the Constitution, which they're doing just fine now with BlackRock and all these corporations doing their dirty work for them. Just like one of these is going to talk about them stockpiling data. The corporations and all these companies are doing the dirty work for them, then they get their hands on the data. So number 2 here, a system of digital fingerprints as for Americans to suddenly become Barack Obama's biggest issue. And I heard him talking about this the other day. And again, it goes into the whole misinformation thing, right? We got to be able to control the narrative. We got to be able to control what people say and think and do and all that stuff. So what he's talking about is, I suppose, some accountability for if you're posting some crazy shit online, some crazy stuff online, they're going to be able to figure out who it is that is posting that, rather than, having that anonymity, whatever that word is. But at the same time, this is one of those things I think just it's ripe for abuse. You've got all these these fact checking groups that are all left leaning. 99% of them are all left leaning. You've got everyone talking about misinformation is all left leaning. So it's all one side of the system. So this is something that will be used against anybody that doesn't agree with the narrative. Number 3, the UN policy you find right here is proposing a global system of digital identification linked to our bank accounts. The digital ID linked to our bank and mobile money accounts improve the delivery of social protection coverage. They use those words like that. Social protection. It's convenience. It's helpful. It's all those things. So that's one that I think, again, this is the UN, and it's going to be a little bit harder here in the United States, but all this stuff is rolling out. The World Health Organization has adopted, this is number 4 here, the World Health Organization has adopted the European Union system of digital COVID-19 certification and plans to transform it into a global certification. And we've heard about these here recently, about them, making the little rumors and murmurs about this stuff going on here in the United States. And it wouldn't surprise me one little bit if this doesn't take off here. So the next one we've got here, I'm going to see, I may not go through all of these. This is the one I wanted to talk about, though. The federal agencies in the United States have been purchasing massive amounts of information on U.S. citizens from data brokers who are being warned that such information could potentially be used for blackmail, stalking, harassment, and public shaming. Now, this one really concerns me because the Fourth Amendment, basically, it's they can't do this stuff with the Constitution. So all of this is a way to skirt the Constitution. It's the same. It's the same exact thing, except they're not the ones doing it. It would never fly if they were the ones. Well, they probably are with the NSA and all that stuff, but it would never fly if they were the ones. There would be all sorts of legal issues. So what do? They go out to all these companies that are just more than willing to sell all of our data and all of this stuff. So my question, I suppose, and it's sort of like this, is why the need for all of this data? Is it just more that, in case they need some dirt on a certain individual, they're going to be able to go through their little digital database and figure out all the dirt on a certain person? Anything like that. That to me is very concerning, that they are stockpiling all this data. Not surprising in the least, though, because they do all sorts of crap like this all the damn time. And probably more stuff than we even know about behind the scenes, because they, the elites and the powerful, they play by a completely different set of rules. They would make you think there's a couple different classes here in the United States, right? The lower class, middle class, upper class. There's only two classes. You've got either the super rich, the politicians, or the people that are connected. You've got that one class, the Hunter Bidens, right? I mean, ridiculous that he got off when the average person would be spending 5-6 years in jail for doing the same thing he did. And then you've got the rest of us down here, whether it's middle class, lower class, black, white, Chinese, whatever it is. All of us down here are that other class. We play by a completely different set of rules. So it's okay for them to gather this information on us and use this information against us if that becomes necessary, when and if they decide that becomes necessary. So that to me is one more thing that has me concerned about the federal government. So let's go back to this article here. The next one here, and I've got a couple on this other article, so I don't want to take too much time on this one, but the Pentagon has been using a very creepy online tool in order to covertly track, locate, and identify anyone expressing dissent or even dissatisfaction with the actions of the U.S. military and its leadership. I've heard a few different things about, programs, not necessarily programs like this, but, tracking, memes, basically, people getting in trouble for memes they posted. This is where we're going these days, where you've got to pay attention to every little thing you say. And when you factor in the fact that they've got all this information, they're going to have the ability to do this stuff. And you factor in the fact that if they have the digital identity, if they have the digital currency, if they have all of these programs in place that allow them to pull the levers on all this stuff, it just makes it a whole lot easier to control everybody with all of these things that they have. So a couple more here, and then we'll move on to this next article, some of the things that we should be concerned about. Let me see here. The UN is developing a fact-checking system, go figure, that it's known as iVerify, in conjunction with big tech companies and Soros-funded organizations. The goal is to be able to police disinformation and hate speech all over the planet. That's what they call it, is hate speech. But we've seen time and time again that misinformation doesn't necessarily mean misinformation. Misinformation means information they don't necessarily agree with, or isn't 100% factual, or can be construed a different way. Whatever way they want to twist that up and decide what that means, they can do it. And because everybody that's in this disinformation game and battling the disinformation is all on one side of the aisle, it has me concerned about where this all leads. And this is, the 1984 crap, right? The Ministry of Truth, the thought police, all of this stuff sort of leading to this dystopian future that is possible. I'm not going to say it's going to happen, because who knows how all of this stuff rolls out. Maybe we're all dead before then because of AI. Maybe that just completely takes over. And maybe it is smarter than the rest of us, and it figures out how screwed up this whole damn system is. So Dorian said, I agree, Dale. Jammer, what's going on? Hey, finally made it. Yeah, sorry, I posted in there I was going to do it at an hour later tonight, and then I had to do it an hour earlier because I need to go outside and check on some things, get up on the roof and make sure that that's still in good condition, and check on the chickens, make sure their house isn't, loaded with water and no holes in it and stuff like that. So, okay. So the next here we've got is a global. This is why I think that a digital currency here in the United States is just a matter of time, because again, roll this out in Europe, see how it all goes, and then the politicians can talk about how wonderful it is out there, and they can talk the whole system up, and then all of a sudden here we are here, and there's going to be a lot of people that hook, line, and sinker. Yeah, that's fantastic. The IMF, it says here, the IMF is publicly admitting that it is constructing a global CBDB platform for all of the national central bank digital currencies that will soon be rolled out. In this paragraph right here, it says during a presentation at a conference in Monaco, Kristalina, whatever that last name is, the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, announced that the global body is working hard on the concept of a global digital currency platform. So to me, that means get ready, because it's at some point, this is going to get rolled out. At some point, we are going to see, they've got the Fed now, which just came out recently, which isn't all that, to me, it's not all that, it can't be used for nefarious purposes as much as a digital currency could. But when they sell you on the convenience factor, the government doesn't do anything for your convenience. So there are other things in play with this that people don't even think about. They talk about how with the Fed now, they talk about how it's easier to get your tax refund, right? It's easier for us to give you back the money we stole from you in the first place. So it's super convenient for you. But they don't talk about the fact that it's a whole lot easier for them to take the money that you owe them. That's the main reason for them doing this. It's a more streamlined system to get their money. That's the main thing. And by the way, you get quick access to your money that we ripped off from you in the first place, and we're going to give you back, a couple percentage points of that stuff. But that is the digital currency is something that not necessarily the digital currency itself, but the fact of what controls it gives them, what abilities that it gives federal governments, and that just seem like all of this stuff just going into overdrive. Like I said, that is unless AI destroys everything first. Or in that conversation we were having, we were talking about a CME, the only saving grace. My comment was the only saving grace that we might see is a CME, or something that just shuts the whole system down and hits the reset button. So that's it on this article right here. Pretty interesting article, and I've got the links down below, and I'll make sure and put them in the show notes though. But it's all of those things that coming down the pipes that I think we're looking at a really big shift in how life is. Sort of like when we went from, back when I was younger anyway, most of you probably too, when we went from like Ataris or ColecoVision, I mean, the little football games and those, the very beginning of the electronics, the computer age, the 70s, 80s, 90s, that era. And then all of a sudden you've got cell phones. Just the last 20 years, everything's sort of blown up. I think we're in for another shift like that coming up in the future that is all basically built on data. And how much they're going to know, they probably, a lot of, social media companies and companies in general probably know a whole lot more about us than we even know. And now that the federal government is getting their hands on that information, they know the same amount of stuff. So it's one of those things that's not like if they don't roll this stuff out, they're not going to be able to get that data. It's more of it's going to make it a whole lot easier for them. They're going to be able to streamline their processes, and and they have no bones about abusing the system unless you are one of the people, that are running the system. Then you're okay. It's not bad. Or maybe you're a son of one of the people that are running the system. Or maybe you're one of the people running the guy running with one of the sons, because Joe Biden isn't running crap. But Brandon said here in the chat, he said, it's bad if you're hoping for a CME. Yeah, and I don't know that I want to say that I'm hoping for a CME, but because that would be that is some crap right there. But it is one of those things. What stops it? If all this stuff does roll out, what stops it at this point? At that point, from just continuing and continuing and continuing. I mean, we're already seeing the United States has fundamentally changed just from when I was a kid until now. I can't imagine what it's going to be like in just the next decade or two if we make it that far. So just all very, very interesting stuff. All right, so the next one I've got here is from Zero Hedge, and I wanted to go over this a little bit real quick because it poses some pretty interesting questions. Let me put this on the screen here. They pose a couple pretty interesting questions that I posted this in the group the other day as well, but questions that we should all be asking now. And again, this link is down below. But it talks about how we live in a society where we've been trained not to ask the hard questions. And that's absolutely true. We don't, if the news doesn't talk about it, if it's not on the air, then nobody says a damn thing about it. Nobody cares about it. Or there's so many things going on that we just forget about it the day after it happens. One thing, the Restrict Act, remember that where the TikTok ban thing? I don't even know where that went anymore because nobody talks about that. I looked it up the other day and there is still some information that is sort of floating around, but there's not a whole lot of talk about it. So to me, that means the government is behind the scenes talking about how they can manipulate the wording of this and put it through and get the people's support so they can make sure and get reelected. They don't care. They don't give a damn if we support the bill or not. They give a damn that they look good enough to get reelected. At any rate, in this, they go through a few questions here. Why is the mainstream media so quiet about the fact that Joe Biden and his family received tens of millions of dollars from foreign nationals in an influence peddling scheme that went on for many years while Biden was vice president? That surprises me as well, because it's one of those things you think, okay, is this not the big deal that I think it is? Because nobody else seems to think it is. But then you start thinking about how the mainstream media is in their pockets, and they're all part of the same damn machine. So that's exactly why nobody's going to say anything bad against Joe Biden or the Democrats, because look at what the alternative is right now. Right now, you've got that evil monster Donald Trump standing out there, right? So nobody's going to say a bad thing, not word one about Biden. Plus, that administration, the whole deep state and all that just controls everything. From you just look at what happened with Hunter Biden, and you can tell the Department of Defense and all the FBI, the things that they've done, all that, it's all controlled, and it's all part of this perfectly controlled machine that has nothing to do with anything that we want. So the next one, I think that's very interesting and not surprising that the mainstream media and everyone's so silent about it, because they just don't. What's surprising is there's not even really that much mention about it. And if there is, it's more of this is why it's not such a big deal, or this is why, and, nothing about how this could be a big deal, or this could be bigger than we think. Nothing about that. So the next one here, who is behind the absolutely massive cyber attack that hit the U.S. government agencies? And I haven't heard much about this, which makes me sort of think that it's, cyber attacks are a big deal. This one, I'm not so sure that it is that much of a big deal, but cyber attacks is one of those things that we don't really think about all that much, and we probably should. Sort of like the power grid. We should think of it the same way as the power grid. If the electricity goes out, as preppers, we do a lot to make sure that we have light, that we have heat, that we have, cooking sources, all of those different things for when that grid goes down. But as far as a hacking situation, you're talking about money in the bank. You're talking about, how we access everything these days, how we purchase things at the grocery stores. A lot of people don't even carry cash. So a hacking situation, to me, should be higher on everybody's priority list. But to me, honestly, if I'm being honest, it's not something that I really think about a lot, because I'm thinking about other things. And just like when you turn on the faucet, you don't give water a second thought. Most people, preppers do, but most people don't give water a second thought because it always comes on. it always turns on. So there's no reason to worry about it. There's 150 other things you've got to worry about, and the water is not one of those. Or it's like, hey, the water's fine today, but put it off till tomorrow. So hacking is one of those things. I think the more we get into all this stuff, especially with AI, talking about artificial intelligence, taking over the world. That could be one, one way. How much better would AI be at hacking than some teenager sitting in Ukraine or whatever country in Europe doing their hacking, Russia or whatever, doing their hacking crap? So that one is very concerning. Not necessarily this event right here, but the whole cyber hacking, cyber attack stuff in general. And then this one, this is why I tried to play that video today, which, sort of failed miserably. It looked a lot less than it actually was. But should we be concerned that hail the size of baseballs is hammering some areas of the middle of the country? And this is what I was talking about earlier with me here in Colorado. I've lived here my whole life, and I've never seen the last 2 months, I've never seen it as wet as it has been. And it's not just rainstorms. It is downpour rainstorms. I've got a stream behind my house that basically is it's where everybody walks their horses and does things like that. Let me see if I can pull this. No, I'm not even going to try to get this video up, but basically that turns into a river when it rains a lot. That has happened 4 times this year. That has overflowed. It's happened twice in the last 2 days. Today, after today's storm, it was a damn river. You wouldn't want to cross it, basically. It just on foot. You wouldn't want to try to cross it. Now, granted, you probably could, but the average person, it was probably a foot and a half, 2 feet deep, something like that. Not like you're gonna drown because it's up to your neck in water or anything, but. Yeah, Brandon Rhodes said, yeah, it's those Chinese down there in Cuba. The Cubans have perfected their weather weapons. Run for the hills. Yeah, that's with the help of the Chinese down there. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Everybody wants you to think they're just collecting data and all that stuff, but they're working on like that HARP crap and stuff like that. Wish Lisa was here. She'd give me some insight on all this weather modification. But it does, bring up something that's sort of, we talk about the climate change and all that crap all the time, and who knows what to believe and what not to believe with all that. I am not even though I get called it all the time, I am not a climate denier. At the same time, I'm not one of these people that buy in hook, line, and sinker to what all these these asshole yahoos say all the time about this and that. And, as they fly around on their private jets and then tell me to, eat this lab grown meat or eat crickets or things like that. I'm not buying into that either. But as a prepper, I've got to, it doesn't serve me very well to just kind of go, oh, climate change is a bunch of BS. I'm not even going to pay attention to it, because there are things happening, whether it's a natural thing, whether it's a man-made thing, whether it's a combination of the both, whatever it is, it is. So that's what's that's why I think about it, because things like this, I don't know what this whole system is out here right now. A lot of people probably would chime in and say, oh, it's climate change. It's climate change. I don't know. But it is weird. I know that. And there are things going on. So I just think it's something that when you're talking about natural disasters and weather events and things like that, as preppers, it is something that we need to be, paying attention to. And whether not saying we need to pay attention to the Al Gores and the John Kerrys and all the Yahoos and all these the Greta Thunbergs and all that crap. But it is something that we should be paying attention to. Light Raider said right here, which brings up a thought. He said they have to destroy the crops and we have to eat the unnatural food. With this weather stuff, it's sort of, and maybe going into Brandon's comment as well, you get this weather modification stuff, you destroy those crops, you do, things like that, then it's all leading into that. I personally think that is with these weather events and the food shortages and things like that, all of this could have, just a natural, as natural events unfold, I think could have an impact on just how things are in certain countries and could have an impact on the food supply. So it is important to just pay attention to what is going on, regardless of why, and your thoughts or my thoughts on why it is important, I think, to pay attention to this stuff going on. At any rate, I took way too long on that one. So I'll move on to the next one. Let me put this on full screen here. New York, where is the one I've got here? New York, this is just insane to me, but this is the world we live in. New York is introducing vending machines where addicts can get crack pipes for free. They've got vending machines now. First, it was Biden giving out smoking kits, right? I just can't imagine some of these, you think about San Francisco, you think about New York, where California used to be, when I was growing up, and I know this isn't New York, it's California, but it's sort of, and New York has always been kind of that scary place, but California, it turned into just a completely different country, and New York is sort of along those lines as well. But you think back to when I was a teenager, when I was a young kid, California was a destination. California was a place that you wanted to go on vacation, that you wanted to go see. It was one of the coolest states in the country. These days, it's one of those avoid at all cost states. It is, you've got politicians over there, and I think they say it talk about it in this article. One of the politicians over there telling, if you've got kids, you want to get the hell out of this state. And a politician that is a politician in that state, granted, a Republican politician, but he's not lying. I mean, California has just gone off the rails, and there are a lot of states. Colorado here, we're not far behind. At some point, we're going to be just as hopefully not just as loony, but I guarantee you, Denver is out here. I hope it doesn't. Hopefully, in the next decade or so, we're not here anyway. So. Anyway, New York, it's just absolutely insane that you've got the homeless encampments. You've got all these things that it's almost, making it, acting like it's okay to do that. So they're making these illegal activities and the crime in New York and all that as well. They're making these illegal activities. They're acting like it's not such a big deal. Meanwhile, the legal activities are, you're getting chastised. You're getting chastised for hurting somebody's feelings and all that, where, committing a crime, that's a completely different story. That person has a reason why they're stealing everything. They're grabbing armfuls of coats from Walmart or wherever they are in New York. At any rate, number 5 here. One survey found that 42% of U.S. CEOs, and this is, CEOs, of course, they believe that AI has the potential to destroy humanity 5 or 10 years from now. That is not very long. Why aren't more people sounding the alarm surrounding AI? And this is one that I do, regardless whether the media is the lapdogs of the Democrat Party or the establishment or whatever you want to call it, this is something that more people should be raising the alarm about. But you're not seeing that. You're seeing a lot of companies utilize it. You're seeing a lot of companies take this stuff and go, hey, this is going to make my job a whole lot easier. This is going to make my product a whole lot better. Therefore, we're going to use the crap out of it until we can't anymore. And understandably, it's not their job to not use it. So, but it is something you'd think you would hear more on 2020, these shows that like to do stuff, Vice, all of these shows, because this is not a political issue. This is not a left or right issue. This is a humanity issue. So you would think that there would be more talk and discussion about this. And you can't leave it up to the damn politicians, because we'll be dead before they even get to the table with anything. So it is just one of those things I tend to think about, like, with all this other stuff that we're worried about, something like that has potential to just put a whole monkey wrench in the whole machine and just completely change the trajectory of how things could unfold in the future. So I don't know. Maybe it is just a little bit hyperbolic, but it seems to me that it's usually like people like us quote unquote conspiracy theorists that are all usually worried about this stuff. But this is CEOs. This is people in the industry that have helped build this monster. Frankenstein, they helped build this monster, that are concerned about where all of this stuff is going to go. So it's not just us quote unquote crazy conspiracy theorists worrying about this stuff. This is actual guys that know a lot more about the programming and the technology than we do. We just know that it works or not. They know how to get it to work, and that's what's concerning. All right, so the next one that I think is one of the big ones on the very big one on my list right now, and again, this is something that maybe a lot of people will be all up in arms about, but then in a couple months they won't even think about it anymore. Hell, a couple days. But number 6 here is, why has the U.S. government been secretly stockpiling dirt on American citizens by purchasing from data brokers? Isn't that supposed to be illegal? Exactly. The Fourth Amendment, like I was talking about earlier, I believe in this article, see if I can find it here. They talk about how if they were to be, I'm not going to try to look for this stuff, but if they were to, am I on the right article here? There we go. If they were to do this stuff themselves, rather than going to the outside to get all their information and to do all their things, it would be completely illegal. But the way they have skirted the system, this makes it absolutely, they can get away with it. And there really isn't, again, much pushback on any of this stuff being done. Not from the mainstream media, not from, I haven't heard from, maybe it's been on Fox News. I don't know. I don't watch Fox News anymore. Or maybe it's on OAN or whatever. I don't watch them either. But there's not been much pushback on this stuff. So it seems like all of this just, is just allowed to go through. It's almost like it doesn't concern people. And it makes me feel like, sometimes it's like, hey man, am I just overreacting with some of this crap? And I know I'm not, but it makes you sort of second guess yourself, thinking, well, all these quote unquote normal people don't even think this is really an issue. And maybe it's because they just don't give a crap. Maybe there's too many other things that need to be reported on than, some of this stuff. But it's, if all of this stuff is left, if the powers that be, if these people are allowed to just continue to do what they do without any pushback, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse as things go on. All right, one more thing here. Scientists are creating synthetic human embryos. So, and we've talked about this for years, really, and talking about, more of a hypothetical than a reality. But synthetic human embryos without using human eggs or human sperm. Why is this being allowed? And what are the dangers of this sort of research is not stopped? So we're lab grown meat. That's one thing, right? Lab grown meat. You're not creating a physical being. You're not creating an actual cow. You're just creating the meat. Creating a physical being. You're looking at some of these, or I think about some of these fiction movies. You're actually looking at, sort of a cloning type thing. So it's crazy. I don't know if Local Prepper's in the chat. I saw his comment. Yeah, you are a Local Prepper. Hey, man, I saw your comment earlier. I had to push my show up a little bit earlier this week, so I wasn't able to go over to your show. So I'm kind of competing with you this week. I apologize about that. We need to do another show together as well, LP. So at any rate, cloning humans, what could possibly go wrong? So with this litany of stuff that I talked about today, you got the digital currency, you've got cloning humans, you've got lab grown meat, you've got digital identity, you've got all of these different things that what is being a human going to look like in 10 years if we're around, because AI doesn't take us out. I think it's there. The good old days of prepping. I've talked about this before, but the good old days of prepping, when we talked about natural disasters and we talked about nuclear weapons and we talked about war and things like that. These days, that's not even what, yes, prepping is about, all of that stuff. That at its core, that's exactly what prepping is. But these days, there's so much more on the plate now. that we have to be worried about. It's not just, back 10, 20 years ago, it was the NSA collecting our data, right? Snowden, all that stuff. And that was just absolutely insane for about a week and a half. And then it just went away and everybody got used to it. And then cell phones came out and then we had to get this app and that app and this tracking app, this app and all this information. And Google's got a product for everything. So they basically get every bit of information they can out of you. And then not saying that Google, I wouldn't, not saying they're not either, not saying that Google's selling our information to the government, but all of that information that is out there now, it makes the crap that they were doing at the NSA 15, 20 years ago seem like child's play compared to what they can do now. And these different agencies being able to track different protesters and, squash uprisings before they even get a chance to happen, before anybody gets a chance to speak about something. They can shut that down, because if it goes against the narrative, the thought police, basically, if it goes against the narrative, that doesn't need to be talked about, doesn't need to be said, and doesn't need to be heard. All right, so the next one here, there's only a couple more. So the next one here, this is the Republican member of Congress talking about telling parents to flee the state. And I'll tell you what, if I lived in California when my children were growing up, not a chance in hell. I'd have moved. Not a chance in hell I would raise kids in California. It's too absolutely insane out in California. You watch movies right now, movies, television shows, all these there's one new show a week. Basically, when you watch these television shows, it gives you insight into how these people that live in California think, because that is, when they make these movies, they don't necessarily make them to be edgy or anything like that. This is just how they think. And all of these movies, either from New York or California, those are the two main places they all come from. That's their mentality. So it's the way people think. Same with the tech industry. So when you get all these new apps and programs and all this stuff, it's all from that liberal sort of mindset, which is fine, except that it's all that mindset. And I think that's my concern. So California is just completely off the rails. And if I had kids, not a chance I wouldn't live in California anyway. But if I lived in California and had kids, I'd be getting the hell out of there. A couple more, which I haven't really looked into is I need to put this article back on, don't I? Why are Americans so depressed? According to a brand new report from the CDC, nearly 20% of all Americans have been formally diagnosed with depression during their lifetime. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that a whole lot. And then number 10 here is, why is there an epidemic of cancer among young people? And I haven't really looked into that, but that is something that, with all of this goes back to and I don't know if this is the cause for that or not, or just, coincidence or whatever. But when you go back to all the pharmaceuticals, the big pharma, you go back to the way they make our food, how they can make our food, what they can put in our food. Sometimes, some of the ingredients in our food aren't necessarily edible, nutritious, or anything. They're just in there to, whether it's to give it texture, whether it's to give it taste, or whatever. So it wouldn't surprise me to find that, and maybe there is, and they're just not saying it. It wouldn't surprise me that there's correlation between different sicknesses, different diseases, cancer especially, with the pharmaceuticals and all of these different things, the way that we produce our food these days, the way we eat our food these days. And that's sort of one of those things that sort of gives me pause about the lab grown meat, right? Because what sort of things, it's always about money, right? It's always about profit. So what sort of things are they going to be doing? Or how are they going to be skirting the system to increase the bottom line, to increase productivity, all those things that meanwhile, we're out here just enjoying our little box meal, our Soylent Green, basically, not knowing what it is. For those of you that don't know, Soylent Green, it was a movie, Charlton Heston. came out like the year I was born. I think I watched it when it was 20 years old, but not the greatest movie in the world. But Soylent Green was how they made food out of people. Not saying that lab grown meat is going to be that, but who knows with the things going on. I mean, they're growing human embryos. They're growing meat in labs. Just, so many. I mean, AI, you think about AI gets advanced enough to where they basically create their own human race. So that's a little bit science fiction right there. That'll probably be a movie coming out in the next, couple years or so, how AI advances. I know there's going to be movies about how AI advances and, starts taking over the world, but maybe they create their own race of humans and start taking everything over. So if anybody has any comments or anything, I'll stay on for a couple minutes, but I think I'm about done here. Dorian, or actually Light Raider here said they think the beast can be controlled right up to the point where they are consumed by it. Yeah, that's a very good point. And that's the way a lot of people are. A lot of people don't care until they have to care. And that's, the sad part about, everybody in the world these days. Dorian said the world's going crazy and the crime rate is going high. Yeah, and that's always a problem, but it seems like it's intentional. Some of these with these Soros elected DAs and all that crap, all of this seems just really intentional. So, oh wow, I'm way behind on the comments here. Brandon said here in the chat, what if we have the last year model of AI and that we're creating, and what we are creating? What if we are the last year model of AI? Okay, I get what you're saying there. So what if we are? That's the same type of crap Brian talks about. It makes my mind just feel like what the hell are you talking about? So we, as the human race, were created, and this is something that Lisa would get into with the Anunnaki, right? The Anunnaki were the original creators of AI that created the human race. So we are version 1, and now we have totally screwed the pooch, and now they're going to go with a second version. I was reading this comment and trying to talk at the same time. Jammer said, Brandon, it was Dale telling us about the control crap. This control crap. All right, so I don't know, a couple funny comments in there. I don't know though. At any rate, I think I am done tonight with this show. Sorry, it's kind of spur of the moment. Didn't quite have my ducks in a row. Had to do it a little bit early. I'm gonna go outside, check, make sure. Got to count chickens, make sure that none of them got stuck out in the hailstorm. None of them was being stupid and stuck out there. I want to go check the horse pens, make sure everything's okay out there, and then jump on the roof before it gets dark. Hopefully it's dry enough that I'm not going to fall on my ass, but we'll see how all that works. But I appreciate you all joining in tonight. Liberated Lady, thank you for joining in tonight. Everyone else, Jammer and Brandon, all the Brandons. There's like 3 of you guys. Thank you all for joining in tonight. Dorian, appreciate it. But take care and prepare. Like I said, local prepper, I want to get you, maybe not on this show, but we'll go on your channel or something. I'd like to do a show with you again. I am going to be doing a show just with Grumpy Acres, maybe Grumpy Acres and his wife. We'll probably have Lisa back on sometime here in the near future. A lot of cool shows. If you guys have any comments, suggestions, any ideas, leave them below this video, topics you want to cover. If you can, if you want, make sure and go over to that prepping group. The link is below. It's members.survivalistprepper.net. It's a really cool group over there. It's just getting going, but pretty soon it's just going to be a lot of interactions in there. There's already a few of us that sort of go back and forth with things. There's a lot of people that sort of lurk in the shadows and pop in and ask questions here and there. But it's going to be a fantastic group, and I'm going to grow it, just make it better and better and better. Just like the bug out location, all of that is going to be one big, just kick-ass preparedness community, something that is great for that beginning prepper, all the way up to those guys like us, a lot of us here watching the show that have been doing this for a while. We're all going to get something out of it. And that's what the last version of the bug out location was missing. It was basically for beginning preppers and people that just wanted to help support the show. And then after that, there wasn't really a whole lot. This is going to be completely different. I'm going to make sure this is completely different. I'm going to start out with the basic stuff because I want to, get that basic stuff on there first. And then I want to start doing the fun stuff and sort of start working my way up into not necessarily just courses, articles, resources, all that stuff. The more advanced preparedness topics that we're all interested in. So at any rate, appreciate you all joining in tonight. Like Brandon said in there, great to see everyone or see everyone's profile picture on there. But take care and prepare, and we will talk to you all later.